like, for example, I would say, the Dove campaign years ago was kind of the start of the BOPO movement. Well, that does look good, but too many points.
Oh, is that my beer?
This will help though.
Okay, so the BOPO, go ahead.
Like, or what's that black woman, big black woman singer? What's her name? I don't listen to her music.
I can't help you.
What's her name?
Elsa,
okay. Eliza.
Ella Fitzgerald?
Not well.
Are we going back?
Before Ella Fitzgerald.
Okay.
What's her name? Liza. She's a big deal.
Okay.
Ilsa. What the fuck?
Oh, this is frustrating. You know what? Just let it go. Just let it go.
But she's been like championing the BOPO movement because she's
a large woman.
She's a large woman, and she wears clothing that, large women shouldn't wear.
Oh, those
right?
things.
Yeah.
Right. When
and
they
she's
say,
like,
oh, you shouldn't wear that.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
Here I am.
Now.
And she shakes her booty.
Good.
She owns it. Anyway, so it's called BOPO. I learned that from a friend. It's all about just
accepting and loving
your body as it is. When they call it, beach body. Have you heard of the beach body boot camps?
Yeah, of course. Like all the time they come up on my,
it's not sad that there's certain bodies that are
considered beach bodies
that are beach worthy. And then I guess there's some that aren't, because we're going to have a beach body boot camp.
Right.
So we're going to get your body
ready for the beach. Because
worthy.
We don't want to see it otherwise.
Exactly. Anyway.
And then there's the dad bod.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway.
I think there's just, it is a time where everybody's been I've been consuming more with less thought to what I'm consuming. I'm just like, I'm going to eat that piece of cake.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's as a result of everything that's been going on, like just being inside, like being in this thing together. So, yeah.
Okay.
So I could just let that one go. Speaking of which, I have a joke for you.
Okay, sure.
I have a joke for you. Okay. It's a man named Jack, or we could say a woman named Jane, was walking along a steep cliff one day when he accidentally got too close to the edge and fell. On the way down, he grabbed a branch, which temporarily stopped his fall. He looked down and, to his horror, saw that the canyon fell straight down for more than 1,000 feet. He couldn't hang on to the branch forever, and there was no way for him to climb up the steep wall of the cliff. So Jack, or Jane, began yelling for help, hoping that someone passing by would hear him and lower a rope or something. Help, help, is anyone up there? Help! He yelled for a long time, but no one heard him. He was about to give up when he heard a voice. Jack? Jack, can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you. I'm down here. I can see you, Jack. Are you all right? Yes, but who are you and where are you? Oh, I'm the Lord, Jack. I'm everywhere. The Lord? You mean like God? That's me. God, please help me. I promise if you'll get me down from here, I'll stop sinning. I'll be a really good person. I'll serve you for the rest of my life. Easy on the promises, Jack. Let's get you off from there. Then we can talk. Now, here's what I want you to do. Listen carefully. I'll do anything, God. Just tell me what to do. Okay, let go of the branch. What? I said, let go of the branch. Just trust me. Let go. There was a long silence. Finally, Jack yelled, help, help. Is anybody else up there? Do you know that joke?
That's good. Yeah.
That's a very famous joke.
I dig it.
I didn't tell it well. I can tell because you're staring at me like blankly.
You told it very well.
But yeah, it's like basically letting go is hard. Now that might be a little bent on the religious side, like quite a bit, but the idea of like faith and accepting that you can let go sometimes just feels like the most terrifying thing because you will fall to your death. What are your thoughts on that? Don't think this is just another self-help podcast. It's not.
Well, what is it?
It's still a hot mess, where we ask the question, is self-help helping?
Every episode, we discuss, debate, and sometimes diss an aspect of the self-improvement movement.
We want to know, is it all too much? Has it gone too far? Is it making us even more neurotic? Is this self-help or self-help?
You make a mess of me.
All right. Yes. I'll, to quote Elizabeth Gilbert, it's probably it's actually been circulating around Instagram lately. It's getting a lot of people's attention. Because as I see it, letting go is a lot of just surrender, surrendering to, what is, rather than fighting against it.
I would agree.
Okay.
I don't know. Would anyone disagree with that?
Well, I mean, surrender to be interpreted as a metaphor is interesting, right? As I see it, metaphorically speaking, you do end the fight and you choose peace. You do give up. You give up trying to understand everything that's going on. You give up, trying to get information that isn't available. And you decide that everything's going to be okay no matter what. That's kind of my little summary of surrender. And as Elizabeth Gilbert says, you are afraid of surrender because you don't want to lose control. But you never had control. All you had was anxiety. Bam.
Sounds about right.
Well, it is Elizabeth Gilbert after all.
Yeah. I think if you are in a state of holding on to something, which I'll just say it that way because the letting go is the releasing the hold.
Yes. Yeah.
I think if you're really holding on to something, if you're dog with a bone and it's causing you suffering in that place, then that's the negative side of that. So there would be anxiety, tension, discomfort,
struggle,
unhappiness, whatever it might be surrounding that, for sure. I think sometimes we don't let go of something because there's something else we have to learn inside of that.
Yeah.
And I would say that...
Or unlearn.
Unlearning is much more difficult than people realize. It's more difficult to unlearn than it is to learn something new.
I totally agree.
Because you've already got it in there and then you're like, oh, no, that's wrong.
Well, yeah, I think that's challenging long time conditioning.
Yeah. Like I was a tap dancer. I could tap around anything. And then years later as a full grown adult, after a few years, not being a dancer, I took up flamenco.
Yeah.
And I thought this should be no problem, right? My feet are just going to like, and it was so different and yet the same. And I was in a massive process of unlearning the way I tap to learn the way to flamenco. And it was an interesting, subtle, but maybe not so subtle, depending on how you look at it, difference.
Right.
Where I was like, this is really, really hard. And it actually looks like the easiest thing to me because the process looks the same. Like some of the gist of it is the same. Anyway, it was very difficult to unlearn while I was learning. And I kept getting frustrated with my brain going like, it's forward, not back, for this particular move. And that's simply because, the brain has memory. And that memory was like, no, this is the way we do it. It's like,
neural pathways.
This is a struggle.
Yeah, that's right.
I want,
Yeah, with learning that other way of dancing, you had these super highways in your brain, and those movements came very easily and quickly to you because of repetition.
Yeah,
right.
I had mastered
and then
the
sure,
art of tap.
Sure, and now you're like, oh, okay, and you have new muscle memory as much as mental memory, and so there you were, just kind of having to let go of patterns and embrace. Yeah,
it was very tricky to do that. Another
way.
area where I find letting go is absolutely necessary is golf. So I realized that if I am unhappy with my golf shot, and I carry that towards the next shot up to when I address the ball for the next shot, I'm carrying that.
Yes.
I'm addressing the ball like, hey, head. And I'm like, I'm going to kill you now. And then I'm going to mess up the next shot or however my attitude might be, based on a shot that I'm unhappy with, that the only way through that game is to let go of your previous shot, whether it's a good shot or a bad shot. If it's a good shot, you could just as easily mess yourself up going, look at me.
I think that is applicable to really any sport, really. Like
Probably.
in curling, you miss that shot, or you just make half a shot, and of course your typical reaction, the natural reaction, is to be frustrated and get down on yourself. But as we say in curling, you got to park it.
Park it.
You got to park it.
Yeah.
Yep. Put that away and move on. Okay, because you can't carry around that mental tension, which then of course creates physical tension and may actually influence your success.
Yeah.
In the next shot. Or, so I think that is important in sport, is to, just move on.
Yeah. Well, I think that there was a time, like we've talked about jargon, and so this letting go that now we talk about in this very Zen way. I think, when I was growing up, it was all like, just let it go. That's the voice I hear. You're like, just let it go, as opposed to like, I am, like choosing to let go of this, this burden or this thought or whatever. But the idea of just, I'll put it this way, just let it go. I grapple with the efficacy of saying that to someone. Like, it seems a little bit shorthanded.
Yeah, well, it's one of those maybe cringeworthy phrases in the self-help world at this point, where it's like, you just need to let go.
Right. Like it's the shaming thing. Like, if you can't let it go,
Oh, you
like
haven't
obviously
let
you're
go
not
of
doing the
that.
work. But this is why I said that that sometimes we don't let go. Not to say it's right or wrong. Sometimes we don't let go, and maybe you and I can both agree, not letting go is a choice. Regardless of the reasons and whatever,
Yep.
it's still a choice.
Sure,
And
like
that's
everything.
why, like everything, it puts the guilt and the shame back on you, because, it's obviously, it's up to you to do it. But that's okay. It's okay. The good thing is that it is in your control when you're ready. And I do think that sometimes we hold on because, as I said, there's still something to learn. But then the trick is also learning when you've held on too long.
Oh, I think so. And I think that's by understanding now that you have created a lot of struggle for yourself. You're realizing, oh God, there's just a lot that I'm fighting against, or I'm clinging to. And now I'm just like, I'm totally stressed out. I'm full of anxiety. Actually, I had that recently. I'd say back in June, let me just say this. At the beginning of the pandemic, I was all good. In fact, I was over-functioning.
Okay.
Right? Like, I wasn't really freaked out. I was more curious, and I was thinking about all the ways I could help with the work I do. Oh yeah, I was kind of almost like revved up. I lost 5 pounds just out of just I don't know. What's the chemical thing that goes on?
Stress.
Anyway, and then I would say I hit a wall in June, and I experienced a lot of, low-grade depression, anxiety. I was stressed out, and I was on the phone with my mom, and she's like, Sue, because sometimes she calls me Sue.
Aw, chatty.
And she's like, do you get the feeling like it's time to surrender? Like, let go? Like you kind of just, you're making things harder on yourself. I can sense it. And now it's time to kind of like be okay with the speaking industry going sideways, and you not having the opportunities that you used to, being okay with not being on stage. And it's time to kind of stop fretting about how this is all going to work out. It's time to just trust that everything is going to work out, no matter what. And so I sat there on the phone and I went, oh my God, yeah, I've just been like in quite a state for the last few weeks. And it is time to just throw up my arms and say, fuck it. Because I do think the fuck it, a movement in self-help, is a lot to do with letting go of this illusion of control that we're trying to have. And
I
being
think
okay.
it's due to the inundation of information and this whole self-centered task of the movement, whatever. And it's really like, take your foot off the gas. Fuck it. So whether it's like let go of everything, I think it's really about like exactly the reason why we do this podcast is like, okay, hold on a minute. A little bit of fuck it could work here. Right
Sure.
now.
Yeah. I just kind of said fuck it to the pandemic and, well, all the loss that I was experiencing professionally. And yeah, just going, okay, let's see what else is in store. It is, I think, a little act of going with the flow. I know it's so dated. I know that's such a cliche and adage.
I don't care about the cliches and the dated. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's, you know.
It is about a lack of resistance and
Yeah.
going, all right, let's see what happens here now. And being very open to new possibilities.
Sure. Yes.
So I
Yes.
have said fuck it to the pandemic. And it's like, all right,
Fuck it to the
okay,
pandemic.
fuck it to the pandemic. There's a hashtag for
Let's
everyone.
all just say fuck it to the pandemic.
Well, I mean, you know,
I think Florida did that.
well, yeah, within reason. But I just realized.
No, but fuck it to your stress about it. And I think I would imagine what you mean by that is there are things that are out of your control.
Yeah.
And so therefore you have to allow for what is right now.
That's the key word, allow.
Yeah.
What does that really look like? I mean, I've read that so many times in the self-help books. My mother has said, oh, Susan, allow.
For some reason,
And it's like,
allow really helps me.
Yes.
Allow is like, I'll allow it. It's kind of
Right.
like, okay, yeah, this is what's happening. I'll allow it. I choose it. So one thing that years ago really resonated with me.
oh, you just used that
you know
word.
what? Somebody,
Listen to you over
I'm gonna-
there.
I'm-
It resonated.
I'm going to stab myself in the throat. But anyway, no, just so something that really resonated with me was, oh, now I'm off track. Oh my
Okay,
God.
so
Hold on a sec. I'll get it right.
Allowing?
Right. No, allowing. Yes. The idea of what you're in. This is very powerful. What you're in, you are choosing. So, I mean, you could call this anything you want. I'm sure you probably have your own lingo for it. But just like it is what it is.
Yeah,
which
yep.
you like. And one of our guests.
Oh, yeah, Celine
life
and I
coach did
debated
not.
that, yeah.
And I was kind of like, I don't know. Everybody's got a different opinion. But the allowing to me is like me saying, okay, I'm choosing this. I don't like this. I've chosen it. What now, I guess, about it? Like what's surrounding that? I mean, I think a lot. Let's be honest. Listen to how I ramble, right?
no.
It's like live an hour in my brain, people. I dare you. Sometimes there's nothing there though. That also
just
happens. It's like chirp, chirp.
you can just run laps in there.
I could. That's just because it needs a break. But anyway, so yeah, just like the idea of I'm choosing it, which means I'm not resisting it.
Yeah.
Right. And so that helps. And when it comes down to these things that we talk about being in practice of, I do think it's unreasonable to imagine being in the practice of all of these self-help guidelines every day, all day. I would get nothing else done. But in the pursuit of helping myself in many different ways, and learning, tools and what my patterns are, I do find that in the moments where I need it the most, that voice will come and it'll be like, in the case of, let's say I'm holding on to something,
Yeah.
it might be like, all right, just soft hands. Let's start there,
Yeah.
And then, yeah, like to let something go. I seem to be doing a lot of talking, but my point about it is, because I'm all over the place, but I'm on a track. To let something go is very often forgiveness related, yourself or someone else. And forgiveness is, it's something you got to learn how to do.
Yeah, I think it is definitely a radical act of self-compassion or friendliness toward the self. I think there's moments in our lives where we cling because we don't want to admit that something's not working out. I mean, I don't know. Have you done any clinging to a relationship that is well past its expiry
I
date?
am so happy to talk about it.
Yeah, no, it's. I think it is. It's a forgiveness of, okay. I think we didn't choose something here that's working for us anymore, and it's okay that we go. We need to let go of this, and this doesn't mean that we're a failure or that we're shitty at relationships. I think there really has to be a very compassionate, gentle relationship with yourself to then allow yourself or have that ability to let go.
I often think like if we could all do that, right? Like, you know what?
Yeah.
So it seems like this is something that I don't need to hold on to anymore.
Yeah, it's not working for
Right?
me. It's
And
not
we're-
serving me well.
And everybody's just like, you know what? Good decision for you. Okay. Well, I'll see you around, right? Like in a relationship.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. And, there was like the black and white way of looking at it is like two people in love and then somebody falls out of love and it's over.
Yeah.
Right? It's like two people seem to fall in love kind of at the same time. Seems like a nice, lovely, easy thing to do. But it's not as easy for both people to fall out of love at the same time. And that's where a lot of that
That's where it gets
heartbreak
tricky.
and hard to let go when your love is still there and someone else's is gone. So like for me, probably except for maybe when my family like divorced, well, my parents divorced, but it was a family divorce. Cause I think that's what basically happens. Was a relationship that like took me out at the knees. Maybe like even in the head, like, you know what, just like flat out. And I never would have thought that could happen to me. It was like one of those things where I was like, I got this. And, but when it happened, it was extremely hard for me to let go and to accept that, it was really over.
Yep.
And as the years went by, because I did a lot to get myself through it, or I should put it this way, I thought I was going to get over it. And it was my therapist who I ended up starting to see at the time, who said, based on everything he knew about me, you may not get over this one, but you can get through it. He'd seen, many things or understood many things about my life and challenges and pain and heartbreak that I'd been through and lost. But that's why I was so confused that I would be stuck here with this one. And he said, maybe it's not an over, maybe it's a through. And the more I worked on understanding what the problem was for me and letting go, did not excuse whatever happened in the relationship or how I felt about that individual in terms of like maybe just personally my being hurt. And also understanding like if I was hurt, he was probably hurting too. But just what is it about me that is having me grip so hard?
Yep.
And in the end, it had like almost nothing to do with him. But what a great learning experience. And that without that holding, or maybe the holding on was a result of I'm doing work here. And when I'm straight with it, when I got it, when I'm clear, there will be a let go.
Yeah.
But I couldn't let go and do the work I did. When I've thought about it, I'm like, I couldn't have done one without the other.
Right. I don't know. I know my mom's getting a little shout out here today, but my mom, one of her famous sayings is change happens when things become intolerable. And I think sometimes we just get to that point where we actually can't stand being around ourselves.
Oh yeah.
The point
There
of
she is again.
Yeah,
Oh.
she is again.
What else do you have to say, Kelly? Oh, good.
Yeah, there's this point where our misery, reaches a crescendo.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh my God, I gotta that's it, let go and let God. Jesus, take the wheel. I am done overthinking about this. I'm done fighting with it. I'm done trying to solve it. I'm done trying to, get information that isn't, available. There's just so much, mental energy that becomes such a drain on your body, your mind, your spirit, that you're like, okay, you know what? I got nothing. And I need to be okay with that.
Well, and at some point, all signs might lead to your life being this tight ball of, like, let's say anxiety for now. But like, if you've come to that point, maybe, like, again, though, all I'm thinking about is if you're in that state, how do you just let go? How do you do it?
Well, I mean, I'm glad we're talking about this today, because this is a major theme in self-improvement, self-help.
Yes.
There's many books that focus on it. I may have actually written one. My first book actually is a lot about the letting go process. And of course, I'll share a few things that I've come to understand about it. And, who knows if it's real or true, but it's certainly strong beliefs I have. But I think you talked about almost like the antithesis of letting go to kind of more understand it. So
Right.
as I see it, we do a lot of grasping in life. I don't know if you can identify times in your life where you're like, oh shit, oh God, I was grasping. So as I see it, there's a lot of resistance going on, wishing things were different.
The expectation.
Yeah. Then needing things that don't exist, right? So our attachments, it's like, I need this outcome. I need to get this part or this gig or get the call in order to be happy, right? Hinging our happiness on outcomes. That's grasping.
For sure.
And focusing on things that aren't real, and what I call our assumptions. When we get really caught up, drawn into our assumptions, the stories.
But whoa.
Yeah.
So in a world of manifesting,
Yes.
things that aren't real,
Yeah.
and going, I'm going to talk about them like they're real, that psychologically must place them in a place, in a region that says, okay, this has happened.
Yeah.
This is it. This is me. This is whatever. And so if your manifestation doesn't come true, are you setting yourself up for a big letdown? So I love how self-help is this, but also this.
Well, sure. And you make a very good point. The stories we tell ourselves, the good ones, they have, there's no risk in it hindering your health or messing with your vibes. Tell yourself that everything's going to be wonderful all the live long day. There's just no risk in that. Where our suffering comes, and what I think is grasping, is focusing on stories that are very negative. Like this is never going to work out. I'm never going to find my way. Really getting caught up in assuming probably like more of a negative future. That can be a lot of.
Well, that's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's like everything's going to be shitty. Well, guess what?
Sure.
It's going to be really hard to shoot for the stars if you're looking down the shithole.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess the best example I have is when I quit comedy and I found myself working in that human resources office in the Ontario government.
What?
And I sat there, and honestly, it was just a bunch of grasping going on. I wished like hell that I was still on stage. I wished like hell I wasn't working in this HR office in the Ontario government. I told myself that I was never going to stand on stage again, and that I was all washed up at the age of 29. Nothing was going to make sense in the end. I was done for. My life was going sideways. And so I could just, I can look back on that girl who was just so stressed out, so entrenched in struggle. And one day I really reached the point where I just couldn't take it anymore. I got up. I told my manager, her name was Nancy. I told her that I was going to quit. I was like, this just was like not working for me. I was miserable. And she said, Susan, I want you to go home and I want you to think about it. And if you really want to quit tomorrow, I'll process your resignation. But girl, you got to go home and think about this. She could tell I was being impetuous a bit dramatic.
I like Nancy.
Bit dramatic, perhaps. And so I sat down that night at home and I realized that I didn't have another job to go to. Like, I'm not telling you that I sat down and had some big, Oprah aha moment.
Yeah, you're just like, what are my options?
I'm like, holy shit.
I gotta eat.
I got nothing waiting in the wings. I got nothing to go to. And so because I just didn't have any other ideas, I did decide to stay. But that night, the more profound moment was I decided that I couldn't go back and experience that same struggle. I decided to, say fuck it. I decided to just let it be, allow this crazy adventure to unfold, this weird plot twist that was happening. I decided to end the fight.
Right. You didn't know the plot twist was in front of you. You
Nope.
just went, okay, wait,
Nope.
I'm going to stop here.
Yeah. And I just thought,
Yeah.
I'm just going to go back and just kind of see how much fun I can have. Honestly, I just decided to just kind of dive into the present moment of my life, right? Forgive myself for quitting comedy. Stop fretting about how this is going to work out. And I was just all in. That's it.
Yeah.
You
went all in.
Yep. And I was like, that's it. We're going to
You
rock out HR now.
You committed.
Yeah, I do
That's
see that.
such a powerful thing, right? Like, I don't think we have never talked about it on this podcast, because I don't know how much of that has entered into our self-help little bubble here. But because commitment doesn't sound like self-help jargon, right? But
Maybe from the 80s.
maybe, but yeah.
Maybe, you know, like,
But commitment,
to your goal.
like I remember when I wish I had it here with me right now. There was this sort of monologue on commitment that they gave us when we first started at the academy in New York, not the police academy, and it was so profound in terms of if you aren't in it, basically, there's always room for doubt. And that can be in a relationship. You got one foot out the door.
Yep.
It can be in your line of work where you're like, I don't know, I could make more money over there, but this is available over here. When I went traveling for all of those months across Europe, and I told you that I met people, I started to meet people like on the regular, not like that there were so many, but I started to have profound meetings out of the blue with people who were in a new life, having chosen to leave the old one, or made a giant step towards something and were living something new and fresh. And what I realized about their stories, I sure hope this is relevant. What I realized about their
we can
stories,
always edit it out.
We don't know, was that what they talked to me about, what they focused on, when they were telling me about this journey to like commit to this risk they were about to take with their lives, this giant leap. They talked to me about that time when they were in between. That was their story. By the time they got, and then I did that, and here I am. Like, that was how the stories would often end. Like, and now here I am doing this. But they wanted to share with me that experience of, so I was over here and I wasn't really sure, or I was unhappy. And I know how I got there. You know, they had like to be able to talk about the awareness of being there. And the time it took, and the decision making, and the risk involved, and the fear to make that move and to finally do it. But they would talk to me for hours about that time. That was the struggle. That was the transition, the life in transition. And not to say that once they made that decision, a new transition didn't occur, because I think, you know, everything's a transition if you look at it that way. I mean, we're constantly changing. But I was so impressed with that.
There's there is faith involved in this. There's a certain amount of trust. You got to be able to cozy up to uncertainty, and then really just kind of, let's go beyond trust. Let's know. Let's
you gotta
know that
want something so bad sometimes.
But you got to almost have a knowing within you that all will be well, that you will land on your feet, you will find your way. Because also, I do believe that we all have a lot of past data, evidence from our past that proves that, you know, at one point the darkness does give way to the light. You know, you do get back up.
And I love that you're actually bringing that up, because one thing that I had always felt in my life was a trust of myself. Like, I was like, I will make the right decision. I do know what I need, or even what people around me needed, what my children needed. I knew that I would make the right decision. And I, didn't think about it. I wasn't in the self-help world in my 20s. I was raising children, and I was, performing and all that. And
you were just living your life.
Living my life, right? And
I was in a stack of books. You were out living.
I was living my
life. Look at that.
But I want to say it like this, and I hope it doesn't diminish it. I took for granted the fact that I trusted myself. And it wasn't until later, as I matured a little bit, that I realized, and, I always end up going here, but my parents had instilled something in me. A confidence, or not even a confidence, but like they trusted me. And so therefore I trusted me. And boy, when that when that hit me, the gratitude, a little bit of the tears, like that feeling of like, thank you for doing that for me. Thank you. And for allowing yourselves to trust me as a little person to make decisions, to keep me safe.
Yep.
And so therefore I have that. It's there.
Yeah. I think we will cling to what's comfortable or what's known, even though it's not working for us.
Mm-hmm.
We're not really actually thriving or happy in this situation, but it is that self-doubt.
Yeah.
It
hurts.
Of course it's natural to have fear, but where the struggle is where we give into it and we believe that fear to be true. And so where we can, I think, find the ability to let go more is just to have like some kind of, I don't know, maybe even a schmaltzy mantra, like I'll figure it out. Mm-hmm. I'll figure it out. Mm-hmm. Or I'm going to be okay. This will work out in some way. Little faith, a little trust in self, and that ability to look back on your life previously and point out to yourself, maybe notice how many times it was scary.
Yeah, the pattern.
And how many times
too. Like, have I been here before?
You got through it.
Is this?
You muddled your way through it, or you met someone that helped. I think it's important to look back and go, look how resourceful or how resilient, how adaptable I truly am. I think we have a lot of limited thinking about our capacity, and therefore we cling rather than move on to that next adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there are times when the rug gets pulled out from underneath you.
Oh.
And I think
absolutely
that, it's dark and it's slippery and you don't trust yourself because maybe things have gone wrong a few too many times. And you start to think, maybe I don't know. Why would I end up here if I knew how to do things? What's wrong with me?
Yep.
And the problem with that is you're not going to find answers. You're not going to necessarily find like you ended up here because, I think the answers you seek when you feel like that are like, yeah, you messed up, you're shit, like toss in the towel, right? It's almost like you're looking for that.
Right.
As opposed to like, yeah, that's part of the journey. If you're asking those questions, like, where did I go wrong? Like, look at them. Just don't carry the shame about it. Just like recognize them as choices.
Yeah.
And that now you have a new choice and a new day.
I know I've brought this up recently. I think maybe it was when we had Selena in for the coaching episode, but honest to God, Liz Gilbert, talking to our dear Rachel Hollis on that podcast, talking about past mistakes and her interpreting it in this such a beautiful, friendly way, like when I talk about self-compassion. And she says now to herself, what a good guess. Mm-hmm. Like, I'll just love that narrative, or I like that approach.
Yeah.
Good guess.
My son was afraid to put his hand up in class when he was in grade like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And I knew he knew the answers, but he was very shy. And I could totally relate to it. I was like that also. And even still, I would have been like, I get you. But what I remember saying to him, you know what you could do? You could say, my best guess, or like, I'm guessing, but I was like, if you just want to like preamble just with that,
lean into it,
so like, if you don't want to look like you're like, you don't want to be wrong or fail.
So I have a theory.
Just like, I'm just tossing this out there, right? Like you're in grade 2. Yeah. Just best guessing.
Hi. I'm just going to throw some shit at the wall here.
Yeah, just But it actually did help him.
I love it.
I know. It's so silly,
we're just so afraid of getting it wrong, aren't we?
Yeah. Some people, this whole thing of like, okay, this is funny to me. Please, like, let's talk about this for like 1 minute. Ready? I'm going to set a timer.
Okay.
Fear of success versus fear of failure.
Yep.
The first time I heard fear of success, I was like, triple take. I was like, what is that? And then I realized, oh yeah, you can be afraid of all of that great stuff happening to you. I don't know. Is it that you're not worth it? Is it that it's going to mess up your life? That change, that you fear the change, right? As opposed to like fear of failure, which seems like everybody had mastered.
you raise the stakes.
Yeah.
And of course, you get higher up on the totem pole, and then there's so much
Farther
to fall. Yeah, like in sports, they talk about the fear of winning.
Yeah.
Right, when it gets right down to it, to make the clutch shot or whatever,
Yeah.
you almost like you're actually paralyzed by the thought of exceeding or excelling in this moment and doing what it takes to actually put it away
Do you
and
fear
get the W.
success?
Sure, I do. I think, oh
In
God,
what way? Yeah.
could you imagine if you did get on TV? Maybe like you get your own talk show or something like that. It's like,
And then they're going to dig up all the dirt.
Thanks for going there rather than just focusing on the idea that I could screw it all up.
Susan, people like the dirt now.
Well, that's
they love
true.
it. They're like, you got dirt? Oh, totally got you. Because me too.
Oh, that's true. I mean, now I could just be another Rachel Hollis or a Glennon Doyle where we just, overshare and talk about all my good guesses.
But sharing is caring, man.
Well, that's
Isn't
true.
that the way
I mean,
it all is
you
now?
know what?
Like, just lay it all out there and everyone's like, oh, we forgive you.
Somebody on the reviews of our podcast
They
said,
let it go. Oh, I just realized everyone's just letting it go. Anyway.
on our podcast app,
Yes.
on your iPhone, you can leave a review.
You can find us there.
Yeah. Anyway, I was reading our reviews the other day, and somebody said that we need our own show.
Oh, yes.
We could be on TV.
Sure.
And it's true, right? Here we are, still a hot mess. People are into it.
I'm on TV. I've been
Sure
on TV
you are.
since I was 8.
You're a big deal.
No, I'm not.
No,
but
just
I've been
kidding.
on TV.
But what I'm
for-
saying is, you have a point. Like people like the idea of people talking about being a hot mess.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we get that show. I would be shitting my pants to some degree because it's like, oh God, here's the dream.
Oh, I
Don't
wouldn't.
fuck it up.
I'd be like, let's go. Let's
Yeah.
do
No-
this.
no fear,
I
eh?
have been training and doing this my whole entire
Wow.
life.
Wow, you've got that sealed away. Good.
Yeah.
I'll just be over here
Yeah, I got
with
it. Don't worry.
my neuroses.
I
and
have
my
them in
humanity.
other places.
That's all right. That's good. Well, you'll have me then, right?
Yeah,
You'll
I'll have your back.
that'd be
Yeah.
nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. I also just think, in a way, the idea of letting go is just kind of being okay with your life not looking a certain way, right? Like, I mean, let's talk about perfectionism for a second, right? I think something that can prevent us from being okay with how things are is just being so attached to that vision, that image you have in your mind of how it's supposed to be.
Right.
Right.
The
How it is
supposed
also.
to.
Yeah.
Love the supposed to.
Sure. The shoulds, right? Like we get down to those expectations.
Yep.
And we, again, get very attached to those images in our mind. We decide that we need that reality in order to be happy. We get all caught up in that image. It becomes an expectation. And then we start using that word, our favorite word, should.
Yay.
We start shoulding ourselves.
Well, I definitely, when I went through my, that terrible time,
yeah.
I think it was like, it was all past stuff. It was all not all, but most of it was attachment to other things from my past that perfect storm just were like hitting me, with a breakup. And I don't know, like, was I unworthy? Was I, not good enough? My parents had split up and I was like, that, won't happen to me. Like all these things were just like,
not on my watch.
not
Yeah.
on my watch. And it was so hard. Like I was so sad and like, my kids were little and I was still like, I got to get out of bed. I got to put a smile on. I got to do the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then I'm getting back into this bed and I'm like going to cry for, I don't know. Like it was just like, that's the only place I can be. To be out in the world and to be in the daylight and around people feels like I'm going to shatter into pieces. And it's funny because it's kind of like the one thing you need, but it's the one place you can't go.
Yeah.
That wasn't a time where I was ready to let go. That was a time when I needed to care for myself and to be cared for.
I think it's fair to say that grieving is a process that leads to letting go. Like I think sometimes you do have to have that time where you do cry and
what
you
if
sit
we
in that
don't
pain.
allow ourselves
Talk about allowing.
time to be like,
Yep.
you know what? I may not get over this. I do have to get through this. And, to be active in your healing process,
Yep.
right? Like, don't go, I'm just going to sit here until a year has gone by and then I guess I'll be okay. It's like, no, you've got work to do, but go easy.
Yep. I
Yeah.
think you're right. Self-care is important. Like really, honestly, take some time away, step away, make sure you get sleep and like do the little things that do kind of lift your spirit. Yep. And feel the feels, like cry it out. And then I think when you allow yourself that time to really grieve, I just think about like the pandemic again. Like I hope we've all given ourselves that permission to grieve what will never be again. We're not going back to anything that is similar or same. It is, like God, new normal. Sure, I'll say it. And so, I think we needed to kind of really sit with that pain. But it is important for us in this pandemic at one point to stop clinging to life before whatever March 9th or 10th.
Yeah, you probably got to let that one go.
You got to let go.
Yeah.
And, trust.
Yeah.
Trust that we're going to be okay.
What happened to crying? Did crying become like taboo?
I actually think more people have started crying at work, which I'm not too sure about, but I do think that became a thing.
I don't know why that's so funny.
Yeah, I think
Actually, people are crying more now at work. Oh, okay.
well, like of course pre-COVID, but I actually think because there's been like this, embracing of our, with emotional intelligence and getting in touch with ourselves as humans and wellness and I don't know, whatever you want to call it, like all this. I think spirituality, in fact, has infiltrated the corporate world. Anyway, all this like personal growth stuff.
Yeah.
I think people are letting their guards down a bit,
and
right?
they're like, I got to be me. I can't just put the mask on or
Sure.
the tough exterior.
Maybe a little Brene Brown has
Sure.
seeped into
it's also
the corporate
making us
culture.
a little more,
Anyway.
let's say, some people are a little more triggered, perhaps.
Yeah.
Our skin is a little thinner as a result. Okay. So if that's happening, it's pervasive. We can see these things, how they affect everything else.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, not being like, I'm tough, I got this. You can't have that in just one area of your life, and you can't have, I'm going to be open and vulnerable and just have that in one area of your life. Chances are it's permeating. Yeah. So I would hate to think that crying, isn't like appreciated. I think a good cry, any kind of cry, like, don't just reserve your cry for watching Netflix and having like that moment where you're like, oh my God, my favorite character died. Like how about for your life? Like happy tears, sad tears.
Let it out.
Like your kid
Yes.
does something great. Tap into that and cry and show them how proud you are with like, water in your face.
Girl, wash your face.
No, I don't care about her, but like, yeah, like I know that's probably what she means. Well, she's saying have your cry and wash,
Yes, and get up.
get back on it and let it go.
And I mean,
and we agree with that. But I just think that there's value to crying. We all know there is, and it's you're letting just the stuff out. That's all that's happening. Like,
Yes.
You know how you laugh? Well, I guess crying is like the equal and not even opposite all the time. It's a letting of stuff. It's a letting of that emotion and that being fully in your life. And that's okay. That's like magnificent.
I think that's letting go of energy that needs to be released. If we want to talk about letting go in a physical sense, I think, freely expressing our emotions rather than that energy being suppressed, pushed down, and then sitting in your body.
And then you get sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to get a little spiritual on you now.
You bet.
Okay.
Well, we started with God telling the guy to let go.
That's true. You had a little spiritual humor there for us. I liked it.
Yeah.
I just didn't know we were recording.
Oh, it's okay.
You're a little tricky today. That's fine.
I just loved what you were talking about. And I was like, we can always.
Lizzo,
Yeah.
the name of the singer that I was talking about at the
Lizzo.
beginning of
Got
the
it.
episode.
Got
I was
it.
calling her Elsa.
Well, we couldn't find it. That's all.
Lizzo.
Yeah.
And when I was talking about losing weight at the beginning of the pandemic, that was because of adrenaline. My word retrieval sucked since the
Adrenaline.
pandemic.
And I was like stressed.
No, and that was a good way
adrenaline.
to summarize it, as
no,
I'm searching
adrenaline's
for
better.
my fucking words these weeks.
It's okay.
I really have. I've been struggling with word retrieval. I hope I'm not.
You been drinking a lot?
No, actually, I've cut back. Because I have to, I need, as much as I'm BOPO
Yeah.
into my body positivity,
Right.
I've also put on some weight because I've been, numbing
Yeah.
with food and alcohol.
Memory's
and so
an-
I'm dialing it back. It's
Memory
time.
is an interesting thing. That's the hippocampus.
I know, I'm a bit concerned. I don't know what's going on.
So those are those are the emotion centers. And actually, because I'm writing a chapter right now for a textbook on engagement and learning and memory, storytelling in teaching and learning
Yeah.
is actually such an effective tool because it opens up that emotional channel. You relate to what you're hearing. It's a felt experience.
Yeah.
And it connects you to the information that you're about to receive. So memory actually is like right in that spot, right back there in the brain.
Do you think just like kind of the whatever stress that I'm experiencing with the pandemic, do you think that's affecting my...
Yes, so stress is a major factor. Two things, and they're on opposite ends. Stress.
Stay with us,
is an
listeners, as we just
accelerator.
talk about my lack of memory for a moment.
So stress will cause blocking.
Yeah.
Right? Where
Yeah.
you actually, in terms of what I'm writing about right now, it's like blocking when you might have a test.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you can't recall any of the information that you've studied. That's blocking due to that high level of that emotional response,
Yeah.
that stress. And also on the low end, boredom can lead to like a lack of focus of thinking, right? We all think, well, that's pretty obvious, but it is a real thing. Like if you are lulled to sleep by, let's say, what you're learning, just keeping it in that pocket for myself right now, then chances are you're not going to absorb the information and have your recall of it to the most effective degree.
I think you're getting somewhere here. I think there is a little boredom because I'm not able to really do what I usually do.
You probably have boredom and you swing to stress.
And I got a little
Right?
stress.
You're like, I'm bored. I'm not working as much as I usually
No,
do.
I'm
People
not-
need me. My cape is ready to go. And then you've also got stress because, if I'm not working as much, what is my livelihood? Will
Yeah.
it ever pick up again?
I gotta let go.
Those two things together could be just affecting that area of the brain.
So I think it's important for me to continue letting go so I can think of words on this podcast.
Right. Because
Honestly.
we are here to talk.
No, it's like, no,
We
I
can't
can
just be like,
I mean, I know that
duh.
stress narrows our thoughts, like
Yeah.
our scope of thoughts. I know it hinders our creativity. And well, I think a lot of our cognitive ability suffers because of stress. So you know
For
what?
sure.
I am now inspired to keep letting go.
Yeah.
Just so I can speak properly on this podcast, if
You
nothing else.
bet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, obviously there's a practice in letting go, but I do want to, I do want to stress. And now I'm like, maybe I can't use that word in that way anymore.
Emphasize.
Right. I want to emphasize.
Look at me giving you a word.
Thank you.
See?
Because you don't feel stressed right now because it's just you and me.
There it is.
Yeah. Sometimes the stuff you're hanging on to.
You have such a calming effect on me, Fanson.
Yeah, right. Sometimes the stuff that you're hanging on to, like deep in your mind,
Mm-hmm.
right? In that place, that emotional place, not the amygdala, but probably whatever other place.
Prefrontal
Whatever,
cortex.
Right. Whatever. I think those things, when you're in that place of holding on, there's a feeling that they define you. Right? You are defined by these beliefs,
Yep.
by these assumptions,
Yes.
by these expectations, by these outcomes, and the patterns that you are used to that you may be unconscious of. Right? So these things define you, and our sense of self is so important to us. This sense that we know ourselves, and not even this like, know yourself, like, I hate that voice. I have to stop. I have to full stop right there. But like that sense of that thing that we all talk about now, like do you know yourself? Like, are you, do you know what I mean? As opposed to just like, we're constantly changing. Like,
Yeah.
but the thought of losing your sense of self is terrifying. I think maybe that's where I'm going.
And you speak of the ego.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure. So, I think, like, do you really know yourself anyway? And maybe we need to have a little adjustment about that. Like this idea that, with self-help, this pursuit of self, self-knowledge,
Yep.
self-awareness,
Yep.
is kind of like, it's kind of fruitless. Because hopefully, there's always new things to learn. So if you think you're going to get to something and be like, got it, no problem, everything's like,
Yep.
downhill from here
Yep.
or whatever. It's not, because you're constantly changing. I'm going to say it, evolving, however you want to put it.
Oh, for sure. I think that's coming out of your ego mind. If you're saying, nailed it, got it figured out,
Well, and you
got
can-
it all sorted.
And you can only know yourself based on the experiences that you have created in the sphere that you are in.
Yeah.
Like, you can't know what it's like to be, climbing, the Himalayas right now on the reg if you're raising kids over here.
Yeah.
And so yourself in that domain,
Sure.
in that world.
Yep.
And so you don't know the lengths you would go to based on different circumstances. And that's what's so fascinating about the self. It's like, well, you got a lot of different places to go.
It could just be a sign
you want to know.
Could just be a sign that you're not being stretched. You're just on autopilot in your life,
Or
and
this-
repeating
or this-
everything day after day. I don't know.
But where you are is great.
Yeah.
And that's how you know yourself, is in that place.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also think letting go is a way we find our way back to what I call our true nature. We talked about this process of unlearning. Who you really are is who you were at the very beginning of your life. I'm going to throw this. I'm going to throw some shit at the wall here with you,
Okay,
Fanson.
sure.
Okay. Because the question I have for everyone out there, including you, Fanson, is what do you need to let go of in order to be who you really are? and so when you hear that, it's like, well, who am I? Who's the real Kelly Fanson? Or
No, I'm like,
who's the real Susan
it's
Stewart?
a riddle.
Yeah. What do you need to let go of in order to be who you really are? And as I see it, again, this is going to be like a little bit of
I need a hobbit to answer this question.
Yeah. You're going to go down a little spiritual road with me right now. And that is to the idea that, who we really are is who we show up as at the very beginning of our lives.
Do you mean in the womb? Do you mean the second we take our first breath?
Yeah,
Do you
I
mean
would
when
say-
we hit 5 years old? And how much of ourselves is influenced by the parenting and guidance we have in the fundamental years of our lives?
I think by 5, you've got an ego and you've already been conditioned by society, including your parents. So I think day one, the day you're born.
Okay, so guys, we got day one. After that, we're fucked.
a little bit.
But that's human. That's life.
Okay, so you're born, right? You were born. And really, when you think about it, you were completely accepting of yourself and others. Okay, there was no narrative going on in your mind that really created any, tension or struggle. You were just, I know you didn't have the capacity to think.
Well, I don't even know I exist.
Sure.
By the time I'm 4 months old or thereabouts, I'm starting to realize that there's a hand or a face in front of me that's maybe coming into focus. And I'm like, I don't even think I'm thinking that's outside of me. It's just something that's there that I'm going to observe, like a mobile at the top of my crib, and then like months go by and I start to realize that, oh, this hand is maybe attached to me, but I don't know how much of a sense of me I have. So there's like quite a journey I have to go through, just to get a sense of like me, myself. And then shortly thereafter, there's me in society, which might be like my little play date buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
And he hits me over the head and I cry and my mom soothes me and I'm like, oh, I'm safe.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Kind of humor me for a second here is that, like, you talked about just taking the world in there. What is that object hovering before my eyes or above my head? So as I see it, we are accepting, we are just observing life. There is no narrative, there's no storytelling, there's no judgment, there's no opinion. You're brimming with enthusiasm and curiosity, right? Like, look at a little baby. Doesn't take much to get them excited.
Well, it doesn't take much to have them shit their pants and cry for an hour either.
There you go. Right there. When you were born, you were always ready for a good laugh. So the real you, the real me, the real you as our listener, is, what one of my yoga teachers used to refer to as like our inner smile. Okay, it's deep down, underneath all of our mental struggle, like judgment and worry, all that mental chatter that, goes on in our brain.
Is it my vagina?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not your vagina.
Okay.
Beneath all of the crap we tell ourselves and believe to be true lies a joyful being. Your true nature, Fanson,
Yeah.
is joy.
Yeah, right.
So, and you promised me that you would humor me on this little journey I'm taking you on.
I'm right here. I love it.
So as I see it, self-improvement is about doing things, whether it's physical in nature or cognitive or both, that help you reclaim your true nature. It's not about being better. You and I have cringed many times when we hear the word or say the word better. Like, oh God, can we stop reaching for being better? Like, we're fine the way we are. So as I see it, self-help, self-improvement is really just finding our way back to being, I think, more able to experience and express that joyful true nature.
Like a purity?
As I see it, this letting go, it's really just kind of like, God, you think about like peeling away the layers of an onion. Or, you think about...
it is quite satisfying when you do that.
Or an air balloon, right? As you try to like raise your consciousness, raise your vibration, what needs to be let go of? The sandbags. So you think about all of your beliefs.
You mean the baggage?
Yeah, your
Let's
baggage.
unpack this.
There you go. But yeah, like all of those thought patterns, those beliefs, those self-doubts, all the,
Well, I go back to my mental health year. You got to unpack the stuff that made you,
Totally.
what you're talking about, just this whole like, okay, I've been conditioned and everyone else has been like telling me how to think and I've been forming opinions and I've had shit happen to me and now here I am. Yeah, we are in a process of rediscovery.
Yeah, so I like the analogy of the air balloon. It's one that my mom uses. It's not mine.
Ah, Chatty.
What sandbags are left?
Hi, Chatty.
What sandbags are left to be, dropped so you can rise up and live at a higher frequency, a higher vibration. When you think about it, we're not born into this world with stress, depression, or anxiety, or any other inflictions of the mind. So funny
because some people would say, some religions, some spiritual practices would say that we are generationally carrying stuff.
There could be
like up to 7 generations. I mean, I don't know the stats, but
yeah, there could be, and I agree. There cellular trauma, as they say.
Yeah. Memory.
Yes. But when you think about kind of like that mental chatter that comes from, us reliving the past or predicting the future, or fretting about the future, the self-loathing, that kind of stuff, that certainly isn't going on at the very beginning of our life. And you might be sitting there right now and going, oh, hold on, babies aren't happy all the time, right? They cry and scream. You actually made that point.
Yeah, but they're not thinking about why.
Or
they just are.
Or it has nothing to do with any mental tension, right? It's purely biological. It has something to do with a physical need or physical discomfort.
Absolutely need.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Really, when you think about it, that's life on the easy street. It'd be nice to have those days back.
Change my diaper.
Right? Imagine the only times you would ever get upset is if you were tired, you were hungry, or just wet yourself.
Yeah. I don't want anyone to change my diaper.
I know. You like to do it by yourself.
Been there, done that.
Yeah.
No more.
But, really, when you think about it, that's why we love babies. Have we ever just stopped and wondered why we love babies?
Babies are cute. Kids can be, come on. Kids are mean. Kids can be jerks.
Yeah.
They're already little people. They just get bigger and we're all jerks.
Yeah, I don't know.
We're just trying to maintain our jerkiness. We're just trying to just...
Yeah, we like babies because they don't have any mental chatter that's putting them in a bad mood or causing them to dish out attitude when you think about it, right? All kinds of people talk about wanting to have a baby, but nobody ever talks about wanting to have a teenager. I rest my case.
I've had two.
Yeah. So it's,
I think if you go through something and it's been heavy and it's been hard and you had to do a lot to let go. One thing that I was going to say about those sandbags is as much as they sound, sandbags sound like really unattractive and heavy and messy and gritty. And I understand why sandbags would be, an analogy.
Yeah.
One thing I appreciate, and there are times where I'm like, I did not need to go through that. Like I'll have that thought where like, I did not need that. But I'm going to sound like this. I celebrate peacefully, internally, quietly, same way I, speak of my gratitude or experience it, I should say. I celebrate the stuff I've been through. I celebrate the hardship work of letting stuff go and getting self knowledge in certain areas. And I really do. I feel like I don't throw it away, but I just don't have to, carry it. Like, what am I trying to say? Like
you honor it.
I do. Thank you. That's what I mean. I'm good with it.
I think any kind of positive outlook on the adversity in our lives is going to be a pathway to letting go. If you can see it in some way.
Can you imagine if you looked at letting go as like, okay, I'm going to do this, and knowing that I've done it, like authentically, genuinely, you've done it, is a reward, is an accomplishment for yourself. That's a little badge.
Yeah, it's a really good guess. Like I really would love to see us human beings, I'm focusing a little bit more on women, because God, we do have a special talent for being so hard on ourselves.
We ruminate stuff. The rumination. Maybe we have a harder time letting go than men do. Like,
I do think so.
Men, they seem to be like, yeah, just let it go. Like, whatever, let's move on. And women are like, I know, but there's so many things that we need to
the meaning
sort out.
That means that it's
our curse.
There's no meaning. Well, just accept the meaning and make up about it. Yeah. Louisa Jewell that we had on several weeks ago now. Actually, I think we had her right before. Did we have her on right before the pandemic started? I think so. Yeah, early March. If you're interested in kind of doing a deep dive about women's inability or the challenges that we have about letting go, Louise is actually a great one to listen to.
Love
so I
loved her.
I highly recommend that episode. I know we need to wrap up soon.
We do.
But
where are you at?
I would like to just share something that I read in Amy Poehler's
sure, any day
book.
Bossy Pants?
No, that's Tina Fey. Look at me pulling that name out of the air.
Poehler.
Amy Poehler.
Sorry.
She wrote a book a few years ago called Yes, Please.
Yes. Yeah.
Because, okay, let's be honest. Like, there's something that we do, I think both men and women, is we do try too hard. And if something doesn't work out, we do experience a lot of suffering because of our attachment to that outcome. And this idea of needing success in order to be happy. And so Amy talks a little bit about letting go of outcome, letting go of what happens after you pour your heart into it.
Right.
Okay. So in her book, Yes, Please, and I highly recommend it. Amy says, treat your career like a bad boyfriend. Okay.
So funny.
Okay. Because really, when you think
treat mine like a marriage. Not a bad boyfriend, just like, how's the marriage doing? Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, because I think we've all had that situation where we've tried like hell to make something happen. You look awesome. You did your part. You killed it. You poured your heart and soul into it. You even did a tap dance at the end. Well, you would have done the tap dance because you're a tapper.
Could.
And then nothing, right? Mm-hmm. Despite doing absolutely everything you could, you didn't get the call. You didn't get the gig. You didn't get the job. He or she still didn't love you. And then the crushing letdown and despair sets in because you were so attached to having that situation or that person. So a big part of letting go, I think, is what the Buddhists refer to as
Yep.
the practice of detachment, not relying on an outcome for peace or happiness. Yes, get in that arena, give them all you got, but don't need to win or get the crowd's approval. Just do your best and let the chips fall where they may. And so Amy says, treat your success, your career, like a bad boyfriend. Your career won't take care of you. It won't call you back or introduce you to its parents. Your career will openly flirt with other people while you're around it. It will forget your birthday and wreck your car. Your career will blow you off if you call it too much. It's never going to leave its wife. Your career will never marry you.
Oh, I had one of those. We talked about it today.
So the idea here is to not bank on your career
Yeah.
or any other external circumstance doing what you want it to do
Yes.
because you can't control it. And we talked about the lack of control at the beginning of the episode. You can't force your career or any other outcome to do what you want it to do any more than you can change a bad boyfriend. So yes, follow your passion. Yes, do all that you can to make it happen, but then let go. The rest really isn't any of your business.
Well said, Amy. Well read, Susan.
I wrote that last part.
Oh, did you?
But that's good that you thought that Amy Poehler
I didn't know.
wrote that.
I
That's
didn't
cool.
know. I couldn't tell.
That's cool.
Do you want to say it again?
No.
You could say it and we could play Name That Guru and I could be like, who is that? Great.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that whether it's a relationship or your actual career,
You know,
you got to roll.
you
gotta
got to
roll
do your
with it.
best and then hope like hell. I think that was Jan Arden. She says that in a song. I love that. You
Hope
do your
like
best
hell?
and then hope like hell. I mean, really, at the end of the day, that's it.
And Mark Manson would say,
Fuck
fuck
it.
hope.
Fuck hope. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. There is the idea that
There's a
to
lot
hope.
of mixed messages out there.
Oh, for sure.
Hey?
There's a whole thinking that to have hope.
Guys, I love us all. I love how we're all just
Listen,
fucking trying to
self-help is
fig-
still a hot
I'm
mess.
just trying to figure it out, and anybody who says they've got it figured out, I'm just like, come on.
No, the Buddhists. I
Oh,
remember.
they've got it figured out. Sorry, they do. Yes.
No, but Pema Chodron in one of
Yes.
her books.
Oh, she's lovely.
I remember reading about giving up hope because to hope for something better, something new is actually arguing with your current
what is,
reality.
yeah.
Like not being peaceful with the present moment.
You
And I
bet.
thought, oh, wow. Oh, boy. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I
Do you
mean, all we've got right now in this pandemic is
Right
hope
here, right now.
for
Oh.
a better day. But then again, we're not then just kind of seeing the present moment as our friend, isn't it? We're seeing it as the enemy. So we really do need to give up hope for whatever life is going to be.
Oh, it's
Post-vaccine, I don't know.
complicated.
I don't know.
It's complicated. Do you think we've solved letting go today? Were we here to even try?
I just think it's really cool to talk about this, subject that I think everyone is aware of because we've seen it on like some kind of Instagram meme or read it in a self-help book or, it's everywhere.
God
this kind
damn,
of phrase.
We're all grieving. We've all got loss.
I just think we need to really have faith.
Yeah. Just,
Really surrender to.
Well, just know that it's life.
I also, and
Maybe that's too simple. That sounds glib.
I think it really is important for us to notice that there is some kind of perfection. There's some kind of, I don't know, support that we're getting from life. We can't see it, but I think we have evidence of it.
Gravity?
Not gravity. I know it sounds, support. But I just think there are just times in our life where we go, oh, we didn't have to do that. That just kind of happened. Like when a baby is born, right?
Hello, player one. You might just be being played.
I'm going back to the babies, right?
Okay.
Remember Wayne Dyer talking about this in one of his TV specials, how a baby's born and they get all excited about, oh, look, 2 eyes, a nose, a mouth. And they count the toes and the fingers. They're like, oh, wow.
Right.
And then they say, thanks, God. That was great work. We'll take it from here.
Okay.
Right. So there's this interesting thing that we marvel at the miracle where we didn't have to work at that. I mean, just had to keep it alive, while it was growing. But you don't have to actually get the eyes or the nose or the mouth. It's just there. And it's like, then we abandon a little bit of that, I don't know, that magic that we see, right? When we see that baby.
Who abandons it?
I think a lot of people, like when they stress and worry, they abandon the fact
the
that
baby
they
or themselves.
well, I mean, I think the baby eventually becomes an adult who stresses and
Well,
worries.
that's the way it's supposed to go. I mean, maybe that's an expectation that's far-reaching.
But isn't it an interesting idea, though, that he talks about is that, like, you witness the miracle of birth.
Yeah.
Like, so much there that you didn't have to actually make happen or manufacture.
I don't know. I've birthed a baby, and there was some work and labor involved.
Well, sure.
I grew it.
Sure.
You know, yeah, okay. So it was something that was naturally happening, but I grew it. I labored to help those guys out.
Yeah, you pushed.
And then I loved the snot out of them, and that wasn't easy
Yeah.
all the time.
But the design and the functions of a human body is not something that we really
No.
we have to create.
No, we hope
And
we
it's just-
don't mess it up somehow.
Yeah.
That, you know, something doesn't go wrong.
It's just interesting that like a parent will be like, okay, wow, I didn't have to, really assist in that at all. So something is supporting this baby beyond me. But you know what? I'll take care of everything else. Thanks God. You know,
Right.
it's just kind of an interesting, I don't know. I thought, wow, that's a really cool way of putting it, that
Yeah.
we tend to
That
need
we
to
take
control.
over.
Yeah, we take over. It's
Oh.
about control.
Well, someone's got to raise them.
Well, sure. No. I'm not saying that it's not about abandoning the baby at the fire station and going, well, God, if you could just
Wow,
take care of the rest, that would
was
be great.
done. Mm-hmm.
But just the idea that we feel like we need to kind of control so much of that baby's life there on after. So anyway, that's just, I just think, there's that moment where you go, wow, there's something else going on here. So I think I can let go a bit of that need for control.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, that's how you do it. You're like, there's something else. There is support. There is something perfect happening where I can let go and I can trust.
Well, okay.
Is let's say a summation of yours.
Don't you just think sometimes there is just a higher intelligence at work ever? Do you get that sense that
I just don't know. It's possible. I think about that stuff all the time, and it's possible. I also don't know if I'm if I'm giving too much credit to what we've got going on here, or if I'm just always stuck in some awe and
I don't
amazement
know.
of what is. Like look, Susan, you know me. I don't actually have.
Oh boy, it's getting serious.
No, you asked me. I don't have an answer to that. I think that there could be.
Have you ever had the awesome realization that it's better that something didn't work out? Like, whew, dodge that bullet.
Yeah, I mean, there's time, but then there's other things that I could be in that I don't know the difference if I were outside of it, that I might say the same thing. Like, I think it's perception, and things are happening, and we make choices.
Yep.
And that's a constant. So I just, once again, I don't know that. I could talk about that in a variety of ways that, if you want to pick it up on the next episode.
I know. I understand we have to wrap it up. It's just, again, I just think we have a lot of things from our past that can point to, okay, maybe I don't have to stress out, because not getting that dream job led me to getting another job that I never even imagined for myself and I loved. Or getting my heart broken then led me to finding the love of my life, that kind of thing. I just think.
Well, it was in my pursuit and my belief that I could still have love in whatever way I wanted, that you might say simply is the driving force there. I don't know. I think that we don't even have the full knowledge of the capacity of our head computer. That thing up there. So I'm fascinated by it. I'm curious about it. I'm in awe and interested in it. And I think about it a lot, but I don't have absolutes.
Yeah, I just think with the letting go, it's like kind of let go of your plans, definitely happening.
Yeah.
Right. The old adage of,
oh man, I ask you, hey, you want to go to dinner? And sure enough, by 4 p.m. that night, you're going to be like, you know what? I'm
going to stay in.
I'm going
to just stay in.
Well, I guess plans are changing.
Well, as they say, if you want to make
Let
God,
it go.
if you want to make God laugh, tell him
Make
your
plans.
plans. Yeah, and that's it. I think there needs to be just a little bit more openness, a little bit of flexibility about, okay, I've got my intention, I've got my vision, I've got my dream, but you know what? It all might just kind of end up taking a different form, or it's going to, arrive in a different package, or I'm actually going to end up going a different way. I'll still use my skills because life knows what I'm good at, but I'm just going to kind of, I don't know, experience maybe a plot twist. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
The plot twist.
My belief, Fanson, is everything's going according to plan.
Awesome.
It just might not be the plan you had in mind.
Okay.
There's a bumper sticker.
I like
Take
that.
Rachel Hollis.
Yeah.
All right, I'm done.
Okay.
Yeah, it's time?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh my goodness.
Okay,
It's time.
It's time.
To play that game that has no rules or winners, for that matter. It's time to play Name That Guru. Yes, this is when we read 3 self-help quotes to each other and we try to identify who the hell said it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I have a theme.
Okay. What?
No, it's just all about kind of like the stuff we've been talking about. That's all right.
Yeah, that's usually a theme.
All right.
All right. So it's me. Am I going first?
Okay.
Okay. Doing nothing is sometimes one of the highest of the duties of man
Yes.
or woman. Sorry,
Right.
or woman
Don't
or
gender.
person.
Don't gender.
Or any.
It's hard,
being.
hey? It's hard
How about
to
this? Doing
talk
nothing
these days.
is sometimes one of the highest of the duties of
Of humans.
humans.
Socrates.
No,
Is it?
I've talked about him before, though.
Yeah.
He's underrated.
Oh, a hint?
Like 2 letters
Yeah.
and then his last name.
Oh gosh,
Do you
that
remember?
guy. Yeah, I know. Oh God, something like R.B. Garrison or
Oh,
something.
you're good. G.K. Chesterton. Look him up if you don't know him.
I was real close there.
Yeah, I like him.
All right.
He was anti self-help like many times before this one.
Many
What?
times.
Long time ago.
All right. The mind is the last part of yourself to listen to. It thinks of everything you can lose. The heart thinks of everything you can give, and the soul thinks of everything you are.
Brené Brown.
This guy is one of those guys who talks to God.
Oh, John of God?
Yeah. No.
No.
Kind of looks
Doesn't
like
he
him
just
though.
give people water? What did
He
he do?
he heals. He's a
Okay.
healer.
Okay.
This guy, he wrote a series of books called Conversations with God. It's three names, or includes his middle name. That's okay.
This is like the God episode.
A little bit. Oh yeah, no, it's very spiritual. I think the idea of letting go, it requires a little bit of spirituality. I think.
Okay.
I think so.
Well, sure. I mean, you're entitled to your opinion. We're all entitled to our opinions here.
I don't mean to ram it down your throat like Ms. Hollis.
Right.
Okay. So,
Okay, so
the
someone's
guy,
very centered on the heart and the spirituality.
his name is Neil Donald Walsh.
Oh, of course. That guy.
I knew we haven't talked about him in a long time, so
I didn't have a hope in hell.
You
see what I did
just
there?
kind of just went for it.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, sometimes letting things go is an act of far greater power than defending or hanging on.
Love it.
Yeah.
I have to say, love it.
Yeah.
Now, is it?
Classic. We love him. Who doesn't? I don't know.
Is he a self-help author or? Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say.
Sorry to go off brand over here, but yeah.
Eckhart Tolle.
Yes. You get 17,000 points for that.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, you just literally grabbed that from the air.
Peace is the result of retraining your mind to process life as it is rather than as you think it should be. Now, he's one of the big guys too in self-help. One of the, what they call kind of, what is it, the grandfather of self-help or forefather of self-help. He was one of the
Dyer?
first. Yeah.
Oh,
There.
Wayne Dyer.
You go one.
We are winning. Wow, that's really
This
exciting.
is good. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, okay.
You got one more?
Jeez.
And I got one more.
Okay.
I figure we need to keep count these days
Yeah.
since we're kind of losing track
Yes.
at times.
Okay, you ready?
So your last one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you ready for this?
I'm so ready.
Okay. Here we go.
Edge of my seat, really?
Here it goes. Do you like how I get ready?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Okay.
The hardest part of love is letting go.
That's from a song.
Yeah. Am I allowed to quote a song?
Sure. Oh, you're checking in now about that.
No, I'm good to go.
I love it. Are you going to play it? Is that what you're doing?
I
No.
don't think I can.
Okay. That's probably letting the hardest part.
Come on.
Pat Benatar.
No, you know
I
what?
don't know. I can't. I
It's
don't
a
know.
hard one to find.
Hmm.
They were like, does anybody know the answer to this? Hello? Hello?
Go ahead, caller. Who sang that?
I actually don't have the answer here.
Okay.
I just decided at the last minute that I
Right.
had to do
I
that
could tell
one
you were
because I
Googling.
had other things. But you know what? This one doesn't come up. And this was like, I listened to this 45 like day
Okay.
after day after day when I was
Taylor
like,
Dane.
14. No. Anyway, someone will let us know.
Cyndi Lauper.
If you're listening, please let Kelly know. Let us know. What song is that from like the 1980s? Okay, Susan.
Whenever we hear an opinion and believe it, we make an agreement, and it becomes part of our belief system.
The Four Agreements.
Who wrote it? Do we know? I know it's kind of a.
That's one of those
it's
that you should probably know. The author should, but I don't. I know that the
Miguel Ruiz.
R-U-I-S, right?
R-U-I-Z.
R-U-I-Z. Okay.
Miguel Ruiz.
Oh, the Four Agreements. That's the place to start.
Yeah, I actually one of my faves.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
anyway.
a little leave it by your bedside. Wake up, have a little taste of that in the morning with your coffee, and away you go.
Well, it's been really good to hang out with you today, Fanson, and
Yeah.
having this conversation.
It's been great.
Yeah, I think, yeah, we
I think,
covered
yeah.
it.
Because you're Susan Stewart.
And you're Kelly Fanson.
And we're still a hot mess. We'd like to thank our sponsor, Purple Jade Wellness Center, for your support. Thanks also to Monkey Junk, the Juno Award-winning blues band consisting of some of the best people and musicians we know. We'd also like to thank and give a 3-minute hug, because self-help says that's more meaningful, to the Podplant and Mike Wixon.
And hey, why not subscribe or follow our show? And please, for the love of Oprah, give us a rating and review on your iPhone podcast app. And if you're into social media, you can find us on Instagram at Still a Hot Mess Podcast, and like us on Facebook at Still a Hot Mess. And thank you, Fanson.
And thank you, Susan.
You make a mess of me. You make a